Hey Canucks fans, welcome to Clay's Canucks commentary for Saturday, March the 16th. I'm Clay Emo, I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter. I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram. I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club, and this is my Canucks take, all in one take. I was at the game last night, the Canucks 3-2 shootout loss to the New Jersey Devils. I was there with my lovely wife Gail, with my son Sean, his lovely girlfriend Fernanda. So as many of you saw on Twitter, it was 3 Emos and a Fernanda at the game. A game that the Canucks should have won. They were up 1-0 heading in the third, up 2-0 early in the third. But New Jersey worked very hard with their cast of no names, mostly no names, and they pulled out the win in the shootout. So another point loss as we see the season slipping away. Now it's, as I talked about yesterday, talked about some of the storylines we're going to look towards for the final 11 games now of the season, including Pettersson, Besser, Eriksson, Hughes, and Demko. So let's talk about Elias Pettersson. He made news earlier in the day yesterday with the media when he said that he wanted to be more selfish and that it was bothering him that he wasn't scoring goals. He hadn't scored in 11 games prior to that. And I think Canucks fans liked what he said. They weren't thinking that he was going to become so selfish that he's to the detriment of his own teammates, or that he was going to be that cocky or that selfish and that he wasn't going to involve his teammates. But he simply said, I think it was really a testament to the fact that he knows that he has the best shot on the team and he needs to use it. Whether it's a slap shot, whether it's a snap shot, whether it's a wrist shot, whatever it is, he needs to score more goals. He needs to shoot more. And that's kind of what he was getting at when he was saying that he needs to be more selfish. Well, last night we saw it. He scored a wicked wrist shot in the second period to put the Canucks up 1-0 on the power play. Beautiful shot from his office, so to speak, on the right side there, on the face-off dot. Blackwood had no chance. And then I wish he was more selfish in overtime. It was a 3-on-1 with him, Edler, and someone else. Can't remember who, but I just remember it was him and Edler because they played pass with each other for about 3 seconds. It went, as they gained the zone, I think it went basically Edler to Pettersson, then Pettersson went back to Edler, Edler went back to Pettersson, and then instead of Pettersson shooting, he went back to Edler, and Edler duffed the shot, and then the New Jersey Devils went the other way. So I would have loved Pettersson to be a bit more selfish there, and maybe take the shot there, especially in overtime. I trust his shot much more than I trust Edler's. But Pettersson ended up with the goal, played very well, ended up being the first star of the game despite Horvat's 2 assists. So all in all, I think it was a good effort by Pettersson. Now, let's talk about his shootout goal. Amazing. Unfortunately, none of the other Canucks could match his goal in the shootout. No one else scored, and the Canucks ended up losing in the shootout. Markstrom did as well as he could. He made it all the way to the 7th round. But Pettersson started off the shootout by coming in with a decent amount of speed, not crazy speed. And he went straight down on Blackwood. Remember, he's left-handed, so he faked that he was going to go to his backhand on the right. Then he pulled it back to the left, and then in one motion put it back to the right, took one hand off the stick, and with his right hand tucked the puck behind Blackwood, who had no chance, who admitted later that it was a great move by Pettersson. It was an amazing move, an amazing goal. And the fact that he did it with such such poise, calmness and poise, and with such skill, and he didn't look rushed or panicked at all. So relaxed in putting it. Remember, it was on his backhand with one hand, around Blackwood on the backhand with his right arm. And when you were there at the game, or when you saw the highlights, the one thing I noticed and I made a point of, it's almost like the crowd were anticipating Pettersson to do something really exciting, to do something really great. Because you could hear when he brings in the puck over the blue line, there's a lot of cheering because he's the first one in the shootout. People are getting ready. People are starting to stand on their feet. And then right when he stares down Blackwood about 10 feet out, you can hear the crowd basically go down to a quiet hush. It was like almost, like I said, everyone was waiting to see what he'd do. Almost everyone was anticipating him to do something great. And he sure did with his wonderful move, and then the crowd erupts afterwards. But it was really cool moment to see it. And like I said, you see it on highlights. I remember it live. It's the roar of the crowd, and then we all be quiet because we're about to see what Pettersson's going to do. And then we erupt in applause, of course, and cheering. So if you see the highlights once again, I'm sure you find it all over the net. The Canucks tweeted it out a few times. NHL Twitter account tweeted it out a couple times. You saw it all over the news yesterday. Just listening to the crowd always is kind of cool to hear them go up, down, and then back up, all while they were witnessing something cool. Now, when Pettersson made his move, a lot of people were saying that was a very Peter Forsberg-like move. Forsberg made that move famous in the shootout, and he did it well, and he did it, not always, of course, because goalies would get the book on it, but he did it a few times enough where that is known as a very Forsberg-like move. So a lot of people were comparing Elias Pettersson and Peter Forsberg, not just because they're Swedes, but because of that nice shootout move. And it reminded me that people have in the past have compared Pettersson to Wayne Gretzky. People in the past have compared Pettersson to Pavel Datsyuk. And a lot of people say, oh, don't put expectations on him, don't compare him to other guys. But I actually think in this case the comparisons are good. Maybe they're fair. It's hard to say. Pettersson's only a rookie, but I think the comparisons are good. And this is the reason why. A couple of reasons why. Number one, it gives us a reference point to be even compared in the same or mentioned in the same breath as guys like Gretzky, Datsyuk, and Forsberg. That's the ultimate compliment to our superstar rookie. And I know, one thing we could say is, oh, we don't want him to be Gretzky, Datsyuk, or Forsberg. We want him to be Elias Pettersson. We want him to be himself. I get that. And of course, that speaks to, he has to carve his own niche. He has to be his own player and make his own legacy. I get all of that. But when you're a rookie, when you only played 60 games in the league, there's nothing wrong with being compared to Gretzky, Datsyuk, or Forsberg. No one's saying that he has to be the next Gretzky, Datsyuk, or Forsberg. But they're saying there are attributes in his game that remind me of those three great players. Gretzky's vision and overall hockey sense and IQ. What a compliment that is. Datsyuk's fine hands and his finesse and his craftiness. That's a great compliment. And Forsberg, his skill and his wherewithal around the net. That's a great compliment as well. So I think not only does it set a standard, a reference point, a benchmark, because it'd be different. It'd be weird if we said, gosh, Elias Pettersson's so good. He reminds me of, a really good player. Or, gosh, Pettersson is amazing. He reminds me of, some other guys that have played before. That doesn't do anything. But when you say he reminds me of Datsyuk or Gretzky or Forsberg, you say, okay, I remember those guys. I remember how good they were. That makes a lot of sense to me. I see a bit of them in him. I think that's fine. Ultimately, he's going to carve his own niche, like I said, make his own legacy. And maybe down the road, the ultimate comment will be 20 years down the road, people, new great players are coming out, people say, man, that guy reminds me a lot of Elias Pettersson. That's really cool. So I don't think the comparisons, we can debate whether they're fair or not, but I think that it's okay that they're being made right now because they give us a reference point, they give us a benchmark, and they give us something tangible that we can put our hands on. And, like I said, for Pettersson to be even mentioned the same names as those guys already, I don't think it puts more pressure on him. He puts enough pressure on himself. He wants to be the best he can be. So why not be mentioned, in terms of those three guys? I'd rather be mentioned in compared to Gretzky, Datsyuk, and Forsberg than like Mike Pekka, Sean Antosky, and Sergei Momesso. I don't know. I just picked those three names out of a hat. So something to think about. Would love your comments below. Are you fine with these comparisons? I like these comparisons personally because, like I said, the reference point, the benchmark. But I can see where some people would say, no, that's unfair. That's, let him be his own man. I don't disagree with that. But I just think this early, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It gets me excited to hear him even compared with those guys. So that's one thing. And the other thing is now he is only 1 point behind Pavel Bure and Ivan Hlinka for most points by a rookie, by Vancouver Canucks rookie. Those guys got 60 points. Pettersson has 59 points in 60 games. So he'll likely pass it over the next couple games or so. And then we can call him the highest scoring rookie of all time in Canucks history. Pretty exciting as he continues to, I think, cement his hold on the Calder Trophy. Yes, there's Bennington. Yes, there's Rasmus Dahlin. Yes, there's others. But as I mentioned yesterday, I think with more performances like last night, it is certainly his trophy to lose, and I do not think he will lose it. All right, Canucks fans, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Do you think these comparisons to other players are fine? Are you fine with him being compared to these players? Or do you think it puts undue pressure on him? I've obviously given my opinion. I've talked about the same thing for the last 6 minutes. But I think it's... I want to make the point today. As I hear more comparisons, I hear more people saying that that's not fair, that's not the best for him. I think it's fine. And I think it doesn't get in Pettersson's head because he's too smart, he's too savvy, he's too good of a player that way. Let's be excited. Let's be excited that we have a great player like him. And let's be excited that we have another player like him. Speaking of comparisons, some people are calling Quinn Hughes the defensive version of Elias Pettersson. I'm not sure what that means because Pettersson's not a defenseman, but I think obviously they're talking about the same ability to be elite, potential to be elite, the skill, the hockey IQ, the vision, the dangles, the skating, the offensive prowess, whatever it may be. I think it's exciting. now it's just a matter of seeing Quinn Hughes in the lineup. All right, Canucks fans, leave a comment below. I'd love to read, react, and reply as always. Canucks are off today, traveling to Dallas. They play in Dallas tomorrow. No Rousseau to play, no Tanev to play, obviously, with his broken foot. Unfortunate for him. And then they got Chicago on Monday. So Dallas Sunday, Chicago Monday, back home to play Ottawa on Wednesday. I'll be going to that game. All right, leave a comment below. Subscribe if you like to. Like this video if you like to. Enjoy the day. Beautiful day in Vancouver. Enjoy the sun. God bless. And go Canucks go.